Buckle up, kids. It's time for another episode of Trippy Food. Today we're going to make a sandwich. I'm going to call it a special sandwich. And this was suggested by our friend and fellow foodie, Monique LeBleu. And she would hate that alliteration just there. And what she did was I posted a picture on Instagram, and it was a picture of hot head cheese, which was a German thing. And she said, are you going to make a banh mi? And I thought, well, no, because you wouldn't typically use that in a banh mi, but nobody wants to watch me make a banh mi sandwich. And she says, no, actually, people would like to watch you make a banh mi sandwich. So today I am going to make I'm going to call it an homage to a banh mi. And the reason I'm calling it an homage is because I'm not really keeping it that traditional. I'm using a lot of the same things, but I'm changing it up a little bit. So the most important thing about the banh mi is the bread. And banh mi is a Vietnamese word meaning bread, but it's more of a baguette, nice and crusty. And in these lean times, I really couldn't find any baguettes, especially small ones that would be perfect for a banh mi. And so what I got was a French roll, a long French roll. It's gonna have to do the trick today. And I apologize for this. If you're watching and you are a subscriber or you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, whatever, and if you're Vietnamese, I apologize to you. We're going to change this up a little bit. So try not to think of what I'm doing today as traditional, and I'll explain the differences as I go. So we're going to use a French roll. Now, the baguette that is used for banh mi in Vietnam was originally inspired by the French. When the French first occupied the area that's now Vietnam, and it was called Indochina, they brought the baguettes with them, and then it was adopted quickly for these sandwiches. So this is what we're going to use today. And then we're going to use the vegetables that would typically go on a banh mi sandwich. So I have some shredded daikon radish, some shredded carrots, some cilantro, some sliced cucumber, and some sliced jalapeno. The carrots and the daikon radish, they're often pickled. We just shredded them, so we're just going to use them as is. We're not going to use them shredded. And then we're going to use some European and Eastern European meats. So I thought we would change that up. We are going to use a couple of different kinds of head cheese today. Now, typically a banh mi, there's different varieties of banh mi in Vietnam, and some of them actually use a head cheese, but it's a Vietnamese head cheese, which is quite different. It's very dense and very much more thick in texture. There's less gelatin and more bits of meat. It's still ham though. So we are going to use these meats, these deli meats that we got from an Eastern European, Middle Eastern grocery. So we're going to start off with our hot head cheese, which was one of the things that Monique asked us to do. We're going to use the hot head cheese. We have a blood and tongue head cheese, which is really, it's beautiful to look at. We have Moscow style ham, and I'm not completely sure what a Moscow style ham is, but we're going to use it. Most of these are pork. And we have a hot capicola, which is an Italian meat. You might find these occasionally in an Italian sub. And then last but not least, a banh mi sandwich may only have or the addition of pork pate. We are going to use liverwurst today. And this is a German liverwurst. So we're just going to kind of put this thing together. And again, mayo. And so I'm going to call it an homage. You would have a lot of these similar things in similar bread, but it's not exact, it's not traditional. So again, my apologies, but we're going to try to keep, at least I've let you know what I'm using in here that's not part of a traditional banh mi. Also, if you find this interesting, please leave a comment down below and let me know, hey, I never knew what a banh mi was, and thank you for showing it to me, but I'll leave that up to you. So again, this is a substitute for a nice crusty baguette, but we'll have to do with what we have. So I'm going to put the mayo on one side. I'll explain why in a second. Kind of spread that. There we go. And on the other side, I'm going to take the liverwurst and spread that like a pate. I might just try to squeeze this out instead of cutting it. Has a nice smell to it. Also, leave a comment if you've ever had liverwurst. I find it a little surprising, but some people haven't. So we're gonna put liverwurst on this side, and then we're gonna spread that out. And this is gonna substitute for the hot head. Okay, there we go. All right, now I am going to start with the meats. So we're going to start with our hot head cheese. I mean, seriously, look at this. I mean, really, is that not amazing? Look at that structure there of those pieces of pork suspended by gelatin, and then that redness from the peppers, whatever they use as some sort of chilies to make that hot. And if you're not familiar with what head cheese is, it's really popular here in the United States. Head cheese is basically cooking down the head of a pig with the trotters, and then all that collagen comes out of the skin and some of the bones, and basically you just cut it all down, and then you pour that broth back into a tray where you've put the meat in there, and then it forms a gelatin, which kind of holds it all together. And that's what we have here. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here and just lay that across. I think that ought to be enough, 3, because we've got 5 different kinds of meat, so let's not get crazy here. So next we're going to go with the blood and tongue head cheese, and I just love this. I just love the way this looks. Oh my God, check that out. So let's go ahead and put some of this on. We'll do the same, we'll do the 3. And again, this is going to have much different flavor than the hot head cheese, because the hot head cheese is just the various pieces of pork. It's all cut up from the head. And the blood and tongue head cheese is, like I said, blood and tongue. It's quite different. All right, so that ought to be enough there. Now let's go with the Moscow style ham. Well, that's a nice looking ham right there. None of this flaked and formed nonsense. These are some pretty thick pieces. I may only put a couple on here. That's actually 2 pieces there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put a couple 2 pieces on there. And last but certainly not least, the Italian hot capicola. So between the jalapenos that we're putting in here and the hot capicola and the hot head cheese, it's going to have a bite to it. It's going to have some spice to it. Okay, here we go. Incidentally, banh mi it's not like an old traditional thing. It's only been within I would say the past century that they've been doing it. And when you're working with deli meats and you see that redness in there, that kind of orangey redness going through there, sure tip off that it's hot or spicy. All right, so we have that. Let's kind of fold that in and let's start adding our vegetables. So I'm going to take we'll just take a couple of pieces of the cucumber. Let's do the jalapeno. And people talk about jalapenos and the hot part of the jalapenos. The hottest part of the jalapeno is not the seeds, it's actually the hull. Some people call that the uterus. I've heard it called a couple of other things, but it's that white part that actually holds the seeds onto the pepper, the inside of the pepper. And that's where all your heat's going to come from. So now we'll put some shredded carrot on there. And again, sometimes they use pickled carrot, or just using regular carrot. And let's put some daikon on there. And please don't call this a Vietnamese sub. Although in our case, maybe it kind of is. And let's finish it without cilantro. Now, again, I know that half the population doesn't like cilantro. If you want to leave it off, you can, but you're going to find that on a typical banh mi, so I'm putting it on. All right, there we go. That is a formidable sandwich right there. So just for accuracy, I'm going to call this a European banh mi. So let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm not going to cut the sandwich because I don't like to cut sandwiches. The only time I cut sandwiches is if I want to see what that, the strata, how it looks when you cut into it. But typically, I don't like to have my sandwiches cut. Just a little, pet peeve. All right, so here we go. European banh mi. Cheers. Wow. So much flavor. The meats, there's a lot of organ meats. There's blood, there's tongue, head cheese. But it doesn't really taste earthy. Nice texture, the cool, crispy cucumber. Another alliteration, sorry. The jalapeno has some crunch to it, the carrots and daikon, and that pate, the liverwurst, it just kind of adds some extra flavor in it. I'm going to try to get a little bit of everything. And I did spread it out so that you should get everything in every bite. That's really good. That was really good. Oh wow. I can get used to this and eat this on a regular basis. Now, again, my apologies. This is not a typical traditional banh mi. It's very close. We kept it similar. But I urge you to go out and find, and don't go to like some high-end place with some American chef with a double dollar signs at the end of the name of the restaurant. Find yourself a nice, small Vietnamese restaurant that does banh mi. Get a banh mi. A lot of them will have a variety of banh mi sandwiches. Check some different ones out. Definitely do the ones with the cold cuts and the pate. It's a really nice sandwich, and you can see what the real thing is like. So this will satisfy that urge at a time when I can't get into a Vietnamese restaurant. It's a very nice sandwich. I hope that you enjoy it. If you get a chance, like I said, make this or visit a small mom and pop Vietnamese place and get yourself a real traditional banh mi sandwich. You will not be disappointed. Now, take care of yourself, take care of others, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for checking out Trippy Food. If you enjoyed watching that video half as much as I did making it, well then I enjoyed it twice as much as you did. And if that's the case, you'll probably like this video right here. And if not, check out this video right here. That one's a little bit different. Either way, leave a comment down below. And be sure to subscribe by clicking on the Trippy Food icon right here. Glad you could make it, and we hope to see you again soon.